Well, if you've got an interest in politics, boy, do we have an opportunity for you. You can join the Kamala Harris campaign team. All you've got to do is fill out a simple application form. You just got to provide your name, your age, and of course, your pronouns.
Yes, applicants can select from the more common he, him, she, her, they, them pronouns, but James, if you really want to get fancy, options include ze, them, ze, here, am, and here. I think that's how you say it.
I'm sure that's how you say it. Joining us now is US journalist and commentator Brad Polumbo. Brad, thanks for being on the program. I got to ask, is this inclusive or is this just mad?
She's lost the plot. They've lost the plot at the Kamala Harris campaign. They have outsourced their campaign strategy to woke TikTok Gen Zers with blue hair who think that fae and faer are pronouns. Guys, this is not something that you will ever encounter in real life anywhere except maybe the strangest corners of UCLA Berkeley. It is really something that the Kamala Harris campaign is this out of touch with the American people. I promise you, Republican, Democrat, moderate, independent, 99% of Americans have never heard of faer pronouns and would find such a thing ridiculous. But the people behind the Kamala Harris campaign subscribe to this bizarre ideology. That's a really alarming sign that they really are out of step with the people they're hoping to represent.
Yeah, very clear. And here, if you get the pronoun, says here. Anyway, I just move on. Brad, the Democratic National Convention attendees in Chicago will have the opportunity to get a free abortion or vasectomy right around the corner. And at the same time, local businesses are being boarded up in anticipation of violence. I've got to ask, what sort of a convention are we talking about here?
It's funny because just a couple days ago, Democrats were calling Republicans weird, but that's kind of weird to me. I have friends that come down on either side of the abortion issue, and I understand it's a complicated moral debate, but you shouldn't be getting abortions like you're going through the McDonald's drive-thru, right? This isn't something glib. This isn't something funny that we should just be doing as a political statement. It should be taken much more seriously than that. And I'm not surprised whatsoever that they have to board up buildings because the Democratic Party essentially stayed quiet, barely at all condemned the widespread rioting and looting in 2020 in our streets that left dozens of Americans dead and did billions of dollars of property damage because it was being done in the name of Black Lives Matter. This time, who knows? Maybe it will be anti-Israel protesters, but when you enable and allow this kind of violent protest and behavior to go on in major cities from extremists in your party, they're going to keep doing it. So you know what? All of it looks a little weird to me. And Kamala Harris has tried to make her campaign about joy, but I don't know what about quick abortions and boarded up buildings screams joy to you guys, because I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that one either. It doesn't matter what your pronouns are. Brad, while the world is on the brink of World War III and no one's quite sure who's actually running the free world, take a look at what White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre is up to.
What? Can you teach me how to dirty? You know why? Because all the girls love me. All I need is a beat that's super bumping there for you.
Now, Brad, we're friends, and I don't want to be offensive. I know you're American, but please tell me, why should anyone take America seriously right now?
Well, I don't know. We're not all like this, okay? And I'll just say this. I don't mind a little bit of dancing on your own time or having fun, but maybe don't do it while the world is burning and while we don't know who's in charge of our country because Joe Biden had to drop out because he was so mentally addled, but yet he's still somehow president. And Kamala's gone on the campaign trail, and who's actually running our country? Who's actually got the nuclear codes? Well, don't worry. We've got Karine Jean-Pierre in here between her breaks of outright lying and saying nonsensical things, showing us how to do the Dougie or whatever. I mean, in another context, it might be funny or cute, but when your administration is this much of a hot mess, you'd really think you'd want to present a more professional face than that.
Yeah, I feel like she gave up ages ago looking at her press conferences. She does not care anymore. She is absolutely done. Now, look, Kamala Harris wants to slap socialist price controls on groceries, prompting Donald Trump to name her Comrade Kamala. Is she going down the communist path, Brad?
She is. She really is going full Bernie Sanders, and you never go full Bernie Sanders. and embracing what our border, basically communist price controls, the government deciding what grocery stores should be charging for loaves of bread and punishing them if they charge too high a price. It's ridiculous. It will not address inflation whatsoever, because the root causes of inflation have nothing to do with price gouging or corporate greed. Companies didn't suddenly get greedy in 2021. They've always been greedy. That didn't change. And two, grocery stores and the grocery industry, of all things in the US, run on a very tight profit margin of about 1.5% at most. So it's not like they're padding their profits with enormous profits. This is all political propaganda, and it's all being done while promoting economically illiterate, disastrous policies that almost every economist, even very liberal and democratic ones here in the US, think are absurd and could lead to shortages and economic issues like they did when we tried them in the 1970s. But you know what? It sounds good. Most Americans never took economics, don't know a lot about this stuff, and they just hear Kamala's going to be tough on corporations and stick up for you. I just hope people are smart enough to realize that just because something sounds good doesn't mean that it will actually work out well in the long run.
Brad, just quickly before we let you go, Donald Trump is great at smearing and naming his opponent, Comrade Kamala. Do you think that will stick, or is there something else that he'll come up with?
I think he's got something better for her. He's got to keep on digging. That one is okay. I'll give it a B minus, but I think he can come up with something better than that, guys.
I reckon you're right. Thanks so much for your time, Brad. Always appreciate it.
Thank you.